I'm going to be flying a drone and I'm wanting to check what the sensitivities are.
There's no drone flying allowed without permission.
Be flying in the airspace above the site?
Yeah.
That's nothing to do with
not
NTS?
permitted without permission.
People outside giving guided tours.
Okay.
We find that the drones are distracting for them.
Okay,
we also have wildlife and we have goats and things on our property.
Okay.
I just wanted to make sure that you had a little copy of this, which tells you just what our policy is.
Hey folks, we're here today at Culloden Battlefield near Inverness. Now, I'm going to be making a video about this place and I'm going to be using the drone. But there are two factors at play here. Firstly, I know that the National Trust for Scotland that manage this place are not keen on drones being flown over their properties. But the much more important issue is that the battlefield is essentially a graveyard as well. I don't believe there are actually any bodies here, but there are marker stones, which are essentially gravestones for the different clans that fought here. So I want to just speak to them and find out, what the sensitivities are. Would it be considered disrespectful to fly a drone over different parts of the site? I personally don't see why it would be, but I want to get their views on it as well. And I am more than open to being educated on why it might be disrespectful, and then I can avoid doing it. I know where the different markers are, of course, and it would be no problem at all to avoid flying over those areas. But that's the main issue for me personally. The main issue for the video is obviously if National Trust for Scotland will just say, no, you're not allowed to fly a drone here, when of course we are. This is a beautiful place to come and visit, by the way. I like to come up here with my daughter and just go for a walk around the battlefield. Hello. Hello.
How can I help you?
Well, I've been here many times before, but nice to meet you. I'm making a little video for YouTube about the battlefield. As part of making it, I'm going to be flying a drone, and I'm wanting to check what the sensitivities are.
There's no drone flying allowed without permission.
Permission from who?
From the NTS head office.
All right. No, I wouldn't need permission from them. I've got the clearance to.
You would need permission to fly a drone out on the battlefield, and it's not allowed without permission.
Okay, I think your information is possibly wrong on that. I've got the clearance that I need to fly over the battlefield.
Have you had permission from the NTS?
No, I've not spoken to them. I don't need the permission from them.
You do need permission to fly a drone out on the battlefield. This is National Trust for Scotland property, so you do need permission to fly a drone out. I can get to our duty manager and he can confirm that for you. But
If you want to, yep.
Are you able to come to the front desk, please? If you look on our website, it does say that drone flying is not allowed without permission.
It may well say that, but it's not. NTS doesn't grant the permission.
It is National Trust for Scotland property, therefore you're not allowed to fly drones without permission.
Okay.
I'm just explaining to him about the drone policy.
Unfortunately, no drones above the battlefield. Be flown on the battlefield.
When you say flown on the battlefield, your colleague used that phrase as well. I'm not sure what you mean by flown on the battlefield.
Over the site of the battlefield.
So just flying over the battlefield?
I believe that's correct. Yeah.
No, I'd be absolutely fine to do that. I've got the clearance already to do that from the Aviation Authority.
No, you need permission from the National Trust for Scotland, as I said, because this is National Trust for Scotland property.
It can't be flown on the battlefield, I'm sorry, I'm afraid.
Right. I certainly don't need to get permission from NTS to do it.
Unfortunately, yes, because it's private property.
It's on our website here.
Okay.
So it's filming@nts.org.uk that you have to contact,
Right.
and then they can give you permission to fly the drone over the battlefield.
I understand it may say that on your website, but that's just an NTS policy, but I don't work for NTS, so it's their company policy
It
doesn't.
applies to anyone who wants to fly drones in the property.
No, it wouldn't do. The permission to use the airspace comes from the Civil Aviation
Right,
Authority.
this is private property.
So I wouldn't, for example, I wouldn't be able to go and like film a documentary on your site
No.
without your permission, but I'll be flying in the airspace above the site.
Yeah,
That's nothing to
that
do
is
with
not permitted
NTS.
without permission.
Okay.
Because it still constitutes filming on the site. That's the
No, it certainly doesn't. It's not. It's flying in public airspace above the site. NTS doesn't control the airspace above the site. What the question I was wanting to ask you is,
Yeah,
I'm aware obviously that there are, there's the grave markers around. I wanted to check on any specific sensitivities about parts of the site that I should avoid filming. I personally couldn't think why there would be any sensitivities on it, but I wanted to speak to you guys just to make sure.
But as we keep saying, it's not allowed without permission
Yeah.
from the NTS.
Okay. As far as the issue of permission from the NTS, I would be disregarding that and going ahead with the flight. So I'm also wanting to check that while doing that, I don't upset any people who may have sensitivities about specific parts of the site.
All the site has sensitivities.
So
That's why we ask
yeah.
people to get permission.
There is a massive bit of sensitivity regarding the battlefield. So it is, as a rule, there is no filming or flying drones on the site.
Okay.
It is private property, so
I respect it's private property, and I wouldn't be allowed to go and film on the site without your permission. Well, I mean, I probably would be, because people can walk their dogs on the site. So if you can walk your dog, you can hold a camera in your hand. But that's beside the point, because I would be in the airspace above the site, and I have most certainly got the clearance that I need for doing that.
Because the thing is, there are always people walking around out there,
Okay.
and as I understand the rules about drone flying, you're not meant to fly drones where there's other people below.
Oh gosh, you're right to in some regard. If there was, say, a coach party of 30 people out there,
We often have coach parties out there, which is one of the
Okay.
reasons why filming is using drones is restricted.
Okay.
There are always plenty of people out there.
So let's say for a moment a coach party did arrive just as I was filming. It's a very, very large area. It would be no problem to stay away from them.
But we tend to have a lot of people out on the battlefield all the time, so it's not just a matter of coach
Yeah,
parties.
all I can do is refer you to what is on our website.
As far as following the rules of the
Yes.
drone flight, that's obviously my responsibility. It's not up to NTS to...
Yeah, but
It is,
yes,
because it's
have
private
what
property.
you've come in and asked questions. This is our guidance for it.
Yeah, but-
Our guidance for filming is that you request permission to do our filming, whether you're commercial or non-commercial.
Okay,
That
but-
is what our policy is. If you don't want to follow our policy, that's fine.
Okay.
But that is our policy, and that's what we're going to keep telling you.
Okay. So the question that I came in and asked
Yeah.
is regarding sensitivities.
Yes.
You're
We
answering
have people
that.
outside giving guided tours.
Okay.
We find that the drones are distracting for them. We also have wildlife, and we have goats and things on our property
Okay.
that have been previously disrupted by the drones as well.
Okay.
So
So
that is some of our personal reasonings outside of the NTS as a whole for not permitting drone flights on the Clotten battlefield.
So to my mind, the next obvious step to take would be to tell me where those particular areas are, and I can avoid
Yep.
those specific
I know,
areas.
I have
But
to follow the policy laid out to me by my employer, which is that you contact filming at nts.org.uk and then they will grant you permission.
I don't need permission to do it. I didn't.
Yes, you do.
I didn't come in here looking for permission. I came here just as a courtesy
You've
to
now been
ask.
told that you need permission.
Okay, but I don't.
I know, but I have to follow, as a manager on
I
site,
understand
I've
that.
got to follow the policy.
I understand that.
So, I'm not going to tell you where you can and cannot film, because under our policy, you cannot film without permission, not from us on site, but from our head office.
Okay.
So it's not made at a site level.
All right. So I would then consider that puts an extra responsibility on me, that I have to now go around the site, work out where I think would be the main places to avoid and not fly over those places. Whereas you could simply tell me.
There are people outside all the time.
Okay.
Given that drone flying is restricted where people are around,
No,
that
it
is
isn't.
another reason why we don't allow drone flying on the battlefield.
That restriction doesn't exist, sir. The restriction you've possibly heard about that you're referring to is you can't fly over crowds of people. You can fly over
There are
people.
always crowds of people out on the battlefield.
Right. The entire battlefield will not be chock-a-block with people. If there's a couple of parties of people out there, I can avoid them, no problem.
What constitutes a crowd?
If people are standing close enough together in a large group that they wouldn't be able to get out of the way quickly if the drone malfunctioned.
That applies to our guided tours, for instance.
It would.
They are out on the battlefield for. We have tours running all the day, so there are always large groups of people outside on the battlefield.
Okay, I would just simply avoid them. But that's my responsibility, not NTS's responsibility.
Well, our responsibility is to let you know what our policies are. We have told you that you need to ask permission. I don't see the problem about contacting them and asking for permission.
Well, it's just because I'm here today to do the video. I don't want to go away, email someone, go through some sort of form or something.
We have told you what the policy is.
Okay. And because this has now been going on quite a while, I am just going to go out and get on with what I'm here to do. Are you quite certain you're not willing to just give me any guidance on particular areas to avoid so that I can
We have told you our policy. We have told you that there are always groups of people outside. We've told you that there's wildlife which might be affected by the drones. I don't know what more we can do. We've told you that the entire site does have sensitivities.
Okay. Right. I'll go and have a walk around. I remember the field where the cows used to be and ponies. I'm assuming that's where the goats are, so I can avoid that. Not that I would think I'd have any reason to fly in that area anyway. Obviously, I'll make sure I don't fly over any groups of people. In fact, I'll avoid people entirely, if that makes you more comfortable. But I do need to go and get on with it, because obviously what I'm doing is time sensitive because of the light conditions.
Well, we have told you that it is not permitted and that you need to ask permission.
Okay. Right, well,
I'm going by the policy. If you decide to go out there, there probably will be a tour guide that's going to report it into us, and they might come and speak to you and ask you to stop flying drones, because that is our policy.
Okay.
And it's outlined on our website. If you looked up the Culloden website before coming here, it clearly states on there that drones are permitted.
I'm aware of NTS's policy, but the authority I've
I know, we're
got
just going to
is...
keep going back and
Yeah,
forth,
we are.
so-
Okay, shall I just go and crack on?
So if you're going
Right.
to go, that's...
Right, well,
Because
the
we're
problem-
saying no, you're going to ignore us anyway, so...
I certainly wouldn't put it in terms of ignoring you. If I told you now you have to immediately quit your job and leave, you wouldn't do it. You wouldn't say you're ignoring me. It's an unreasonable request. But you're telling me I can't do something that I've got the authority to do.
I understand that you have your my brother has a drone. I understand you've got
Okay.
your flight number and things like that. Do
Yeah.
you object if I just take down your name and your drone flying number, just in case we get contacted by an external source and I can say that we've spoken today? I'm not going to report you or anything, but just have the information in case one of our tour guides comes in and I can say I've spoken to you at the front
Okay.
desk.
If there was an issue with one of the tour guides, they're quite welcome to come and speak to me. I wouldn't be giving you my sort of private details like that at the moment.
Because that's what the policy would ask for, so that's why I just...
All right, okay. Well, no, I mean, people shouldn't be... If someone's walking a dog on the site, they're not required to give their personal
but
details.
they're not flying a drone, they're just walking a dog.
Yeah, but
But that's allowed under our policy.
okay.
It's a public right of way, so they're welcome to walk their dogs here.
It's a public right of way.
Yes.
That's very useful information. I appreciate you telling me that.
It is.
Okay.
It's just our trust policy is that. That's what I'm saying. Like, we have our policy.
Right.
You don't have to. If you're not going to follow it, you're not going to follow it.
Is there a specific part of the site that's a public right of way, or is the whole site a public right of way?
I think the main pathway going through the cairn is the public right of way, is my understanding, because that used
Right.
to be the main road that ran through the site.
Okay. It's just that's useful for me to know, because I can then fly the drone from that path.
But yeah, if you wanted to come back, the thing is the trust don't normally say no. It's just that they need the written permission, and we just can't grant that here on the site.
Okay.
Okay. I'm just saying for any
okay.
future filming,
Right.
it's just it's more of a courtesy, I'm assuming. But I have to just, as a manager here, follow the policy that's laid out for me.
Okay. Right. I would assume as far as respect for the graves,
Yes.
just generally avoid flying around the cairn, flying around the stone.
So what are you filming for? Because I've missed the first part of the...
Oh,
I've just a general query.
I just make little videos for YouTube of interesting places around the
Okay,
Highlands.
so you're going just round and just filming kind of areas of beauty, nature, historical sites and things. Yeah.
Castles,
Yeah.
estates, that sort of thing.
Okay.
I just do lots of places.
Yeah, I would say we stick to the main pathway. I mean, I know there's people on the battlefield, there's going to be people on the battlefield, but yeah, stick to the main pathway and obviously, yeah, be respectful of the area. But
Right.
anything in the future, just even any other NTS sites, even they are pretty good about it.
Okay.
But if you were planning any other NTS sites, I would just shoot them an email. They're pretty responsive.
Right, okay.
Just if you know, so then they know, because I don't know the castles on that, you know, the areas of more solid heritage, they might have a bit more rules around it. But
Right.
I would say if you just stick to the centre path, and yeah, any tour groups that you see out there, just be mindful of.
Okay, will do. Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Thank you for your
You're
help.
welcome. Thank
Cheerio.
you.
Thank you, guys. So that's quite useful that she told me that the main path is a public right-of-way. I'd actually meant to check before I came out here if there was a right-of-way through the battlefield. So public right-of-way, in case you haven't seen this mentioned in previous videos, if you're on a public right-of-way or if you are on a legally accessible part of private land under the Land Reform Act, then you can do any recreational activity and you can do any commercial activity as long as it is an activity that people could also do recreationally. I've said that bit a few times now, so I can kind of just rattle it off. So there's two main places on the battlefield. There's the cairn, of course, which you might be able to see off in the distance. It's not actually that far away, but I know with the wide angle view of my body cam, it probably looks far away. There's also a very picturesque, pretty little cottage on the site as well. I personally would not consider it disrespectful to fly the drone right over the cairn, right over where the grave markers are. And I'm not really sure I would understand why anyone would find it disrespectful, but we live in a world of many different opinions, and I'm not really keen on offending anyone, so we won't fly over here. I mean, if I was flying the drone right over where I'm walking at the moment, how is that disrespectful? This is an important part of Scottish history, and if I was walking along here recording it with a video camera, nobody would consider that disrespectful. But there is still a lot of animosity towards drones and suspicion around drones, and the fact that although their policy is frankly nonsense, I would be here going against their policy, and people may be offended by that. So bottom line, I can't be bothered with the hassle and I don't want to upset anyone, so I'm just not going to do it. There you go. So just hold my body cam up so I can hopefully get a good view. So that's the cairn. The Battle of Culloden was fought on this moor 16th of April 1746. The graves of the gallant Highlanders who fought for Scotland and Prince Charlie are marked by the names of their clans. To be honest, I'm kind of regretting volunteering to not fly over the cairn, because I want to do that. I think it would make a really good sort of focal shot. But I said I won't, so I won't. I know some people watching these videos will say, you're legally allowed to fly over the cairn, you should do it. Who cares what they say? Well, here's the thing, right, guys? I care what they say. And I'll make my decisions about who I listen to and who I don't. Also, this place is very much a part of local history, and the battlefield and the battle that was fought here is very important to a lot of people in this area. And the idea of one of those people watching this video and being upset by me flying a drone over the area. That's just not something that I want to do. Okay, so there's a tour party. Would you class that as a crowd? Flying over those people, is that a crowd? I'd probably say that is sort of right on the borderline of crowd or not crowd. I would choose not to fly over a group of people that size. I really must come on one of the tours one time. I was photographing a local councillor up here one time, and he gave me a very interesting talk. Basically, it was almost like attending a history lesson. Gave me a very interesting talk about the history of the battlefield. And if you ever get the chance to come here, I strongly recommend you do it. And also to a place called Claver Cairns, which is nearby. I am, so yeah.
What kind is it?
DJI Mini 4 Pro.
I've got a Mini 2.
Oh, right, okay.
It's just a great wee thing.
Isn't it amazing fun?
It's fantastic. I heard it.
I noticed you
could-
spotted it, yeah. I was trying to keep it high up enough that it's not going to disturb people, but I know you'd recognise that Mini 5's out soon.
Oh, well,
I know, it'll be tempting you. It's tempting me.
well, that's all money. What are you going to do with the one you've got? Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe just sell it or something.
Enjoy.
Okay, enjoy your day, sir. I assume you're coming out to talk to me about the job.
I just wanted to have a little quick chat, that was all.
No worries. What can I do for you?
Are you filming currently?
I'm filming the whole time, yeah. I just leave the video running the whole time.
Well, could I ask you to stop filming while I chat with you, because I don't particularly want to be on any camera. I just want a quick chat, so if you wouldn't mind.
Oh, do you mean the body cam?
Yes.
Oh no, I keep that on all the time. I get so much hassle flying a drone, you wouldn't believe it, so I just leave it on.
I am not here to harass you by any means.
I appreciate that. But no, I'm not going to turn the body cam off.
Landing.
Alright, yo. Sorry about that. What can I do for you?
I just wanted to make sure that you had a little copy of this, which tells you just what our policy is on
All right.
drones. If I give you that, just so that you can have a little
okay.
read through in your own time.
Yeah.
We
Thank
generally
you.
just ask that people ask us ahead of time. There is sort of a whole filming thing that goes on here. You're supposed to go talk to our central head office filming department,
Okay.
because they give permission. Because it's about things like public liability. In order to fly, you are supposed to have up to 2 million in public liability to fly over the public that are here.
Of course, yeah,
Do you have that?
I do.
That's great. Do you have any proof of that with you by any chance?
It's not something I'd need to provide, would it be proof? The responsibility's on me, not on NTS.
Well, I'll take your guarantee that you do have that.
I do.
And the other thing that we ask, the only reason that we particularly ask people to ask us is just that there are a couple of areas of sensitivity here.
Indeed.
Of course, we have livestock on the field, so we do ask you not to fly above the livestock.
I'm aware of that, yeah.
Thank you. I'm just letting you know.
That's
I'm
fine.
just letting you know what our policy is. As I say, I'm not here to harass you. I'm not here to have a fight with you by
No,
any means.
I appreciate that.
And the other thing is, it's because of the grave area, there's a lot of sensitivity obviously around it, and
Yeah.
we just tend to, when we ask people to ask us for permission, it's because we want to ask you, what is the footage for?
Right,
What are
okay.
you going to be using this for? You know, if it's something that's going to cause sensitivity around the grave area and the filming of the grave area, that's obviously something we'd like to know, because we'd like to advise you not to if you're going to use it for certain specific reasons. But is this just for your personal use?
It's just making a little video of the area for YouTube. You mentioned there'd be specific reasons you may ask someone not to do it. What would those reasons
Well,
be?
if they were going to be doing something that would be to sort of whip up any kind of fervour about the graves or what had happened here, or we need to know that anything that's going to go up really needs to be historically accurate. And
Okay.
so it's just ensuring that it keeps the environment safe, the understanding of the battlefield safe, and just doesn't upset anybody. That's all we don't want to do.
Okay. I will certainly not be putting anything on the video about like the history of the site or anything, because I am far from qualified to talk about that.
I appreciate that, and that's all my colleagues were trying to explain to you as well. So we didn't want to have it. We're not here to make life difficult or to cause an argument with you.
I
But
appreciate that.
We just like if people come to us and just ask us in the first place if they can have permission to do so, and usually there's not a problem granting that.
Okay. You mentioned regarding the sensitivities around the cairn and the grave markers. That was actually why I went in and asked them.
Oh,
and
thank you.
the answer was, you're not allowed to fly on the site at all. And I repeatedly asked them, could you just sort of explain to me what any sensitivities are? And it was just a blanket, no, you're just not allowed to fly on the site. And I've basically been left to my own devices to work out which areas to avoid. Now, I happen to know where the livestock's stored, so I've avoided
Thank you
filming
very much
that
for
area.
doing that.
I'm also going to avoid flying over the cairn and the grave markers.
Thank you for that also.
But it would be very beneficial if the staff were just saying, okay, yeah, sure, we accept you can fly over the area, please avoid these areas. That's much more constructive than just a blanket, no, you're not allowed to fly, go away.
We will certainly, I'll take that back as, to my boss about that, as everything that you've said. And all I would ask is if you just take a little read through the policy that we have, because on the website you'll see that there are a couple of policies there that
Okay.
if you read them ahead of time, it will actually give you some information that will be helpful.
Right.
And I hope that I've explained it a little better to you.
You
as
certainly
to what
have.
our sensitivities are. And had I been here in the first place, they would have probably called me through. I'm the estates manager here.
Oh,
so-
right, okay, well, nice to
I'm
meet you.
sorry, your name is?
I'm not going to give my name just because there's been a little bit of a sort of a
Oh,
confrontation going on here.
I was being
but
polite, not
you absolutely
not
were, yeah.
asking your name because I was going to do anything with it. I was being merely polite and introducing myself.
I appreciate that. I will put my drone over there so I can shake your hand. Just
All right. And
Nice
thank
to meet you.
for taking care of the sensitivity. But please do have a little read of our policy so that you'll know for other sites as well.
Right.
For
I
NTS.
have actually read the policy before I arrived on the site.
Okay.
It was
Well,
just
thank
that
you for doing that.
today was the day to do the video, and I thought let's make sure we do it sensitively.
Well, thank you for for being sensitive to certain things. And I do appreciate you not flying over the livestock because they can get a little bit upset when drones get close.
Yeah, I'm also keeping it's so still today, I'm keeping the drone quite high to avoid people hearing it. Although one chap did hear it, and turns out he's a drone flyer as well, so he recognised the sound.
Well, again, that's another thing. What we don't want to do is to take away from people's experience when they visit here, as I'm sure you can understand.
Of course.
And
yeah.
you're obviously taking care of that as well. So I thank you for those sensitivities.
Oh, you're
And,
very welcome. Wouldn't want to offend anyone.
No. Have a nice day.
You too. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Just as a matter of course, I would also prefer if you didn't use any footage of me that you may have taken.
I pretty much use all the footage that I record on each site.
Well,
So,
I
'cause
have
you've-
to say I don't give my permission for you to use my image on YouTube.
You
I don't give my permission for that. That's my personal.
Okay,
I would prefer you didn't because I don't really want to be on any kind of.
you can't really stand in front of a camera talking for
I did
10
ask-
minutes and then say you don't give permission.
Well, I did
you've
actually ask you not to film me, and I hoped that you would be sensitive to that as I'm being sensitive to you.
what I would say to that is it's going to, if I was, and I'm not saying I would because I wouldn't intend to, if I was to edit out the part of the video that you were in, it's going to reflect very badly on NTS because we've got staff being obstructive, uncooperative, refusing to talk about sensitivities, and then the part where someone comes out and does exactly the right thing is gone. So
I'm just not keen to have my own personal image on any sites.
okay, I can't put a video online that gives a distorted view of what my experience at the site was. That's not fair to NTS, and it's not fair to the other staff.
Right,
Okay,
well,
right here.
have a lovely day.
You too. Nice to meet you. That's me all done. So if you see any drones around, it's nothing to do with me. Okay, thanks for your help. Cheers. I did stay quite well away from the cairn and the grave markers. I didn't go anywhere near the field where the livestock would be. Flew over the little cottage and around the back of the visitor centre. So hopefully that hasn't touched any sensitivities.
Well, as I say, the whole site has sensitivities because it is the site of a battle where people fought and died. So the
Of
whole
course.
site has sensitivities.
Of course, but hopefully I've done it in a respectful way. That's always my aim.
A respectful way would be to ask permission beforehand, in accordance with our policy.
Okay, when I say a respectful way, I mean respectful to people who may have sensitivities, not respectful to NTS, because NTS having this policy isn't respectful to members of the public that wish to record the site.
We have reasons for our policy which have been explained here.
Indeed, and I've taken all of those reasons into account and avoided any sensitive areas.
Well, we explained that it was all sensitive areas. So
Okay, the lady that came out to speak to me didn't give me any indication the entire site was considered sensitive, just that there were particular areas to avoid, so that's what I did.
we did tell you that the whole site is considered sensitive when you were up here before.
Okay, well, I think that was more just to enforce the policy of not recording the site.
The whole site is sensitive because people fought and died here.
Okay, then there wouldn't be a massive building placed on the site. That would surely infringe people's sensitivities, but it's here and nobody objects. So I don't see why taking pictures.
You've done your filmings and you've said that.
Okay,
You've done that.
right here. Okay, thank you. Nice to meet you, sir. Okay, so unusually for me, I've recorded this outro 6 times now because this site means so much to so many people around here that I kind of feel I have to defend my actions in flying here. Now, obviously, the flight that I conducted and the areas that I flew in, I told that lady that came out to speak to me which areas I was avoiding, and she was nice and accepted that I was flying in a respectful way and I was avoiding the areas they consider sensitive. The problem is that chap at the beginning, after he realised I wasn't going to just respect their policy of no drones here, because that's what it's about. It's about no drones. It's not about no photographs. You know, pretty much everyone walking around here is taking pictures with their cameras and their mobile phones. You know, it's a no drone policy, not a no pictures policy. So the actual taking of video, recording a video, is not an issue. It's the fact that I did it with a drone. That's what their problem is. And it was only after the chap realised I was going to fly the drone anyway that he then introduced the idea of the entire site is sensitive. Because I made it clear I would avoid sensitive areas, but I'd also made it clear I was going to go against their policy. So then he tried to change the story. He wanted to create a situation where I could be seen as being in the wrong just by flying near the site at all, or just by even filming the site. And that's not fair. Yeah, it's a big part of being a drone operator is that you fly respectfully, you respect privacy, you respect people's concerns, but then you encounter these places where there's just a blanket policy, no drones. Okay, you can fly a drone if you ask permission, like however many days in advance, right? That's a no drones policy that they'll make exceptions to. So I'm saying this place has a no drones policy. And the fact that I had 4 members of staff, no, 3 members of staff inside, not the lady outside, 3 members of staff telling me I couldn't fly a drone today, that's a no drones policy. I've forgotten what I was saying. Oh man, I hate this anti-drones nonsense. You know, I'm just trying to do what I do. Sometimes doing it for work, sometimes doing it for fun. And every day there's another hassle. Someone else has got a problem with it. Someone else wants to paint me as the bad guy. It's like, if I didn't have this stupid neck injury that I've got, and I could walk around with big heavy cameras all day like I used to, I'd be doing that. But, you know, if wishes were horses, I can't do that. So I have to work the way I work nowadays, which is using a drone for everything. Having to completely change my way of work so that everything can be done with a drone. And it's a constant hassle. And I'm sick of it. Oh man, I'm just going to sign off. I hope you liked the video. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the next one. Cheerio.